Thank you, Shamans Directory. It is perfectly aligned with me and my dream to be part of a global council of masters in ceremony, sharing these powerful ancestral traditions for the new generations and for the global family and the global community, creating this collective healing energy that brings love, that brings liberation, that brings wisdom and light to many of us who might be struggling, who might be in places of darkness, who might be stuck on emotional, psychological processes. I'm very happy because it was the prayer of our ancestors for these times to have these sacred councils, these sacred circles globally. I believe my whole lifetime training until this point was for these circles and was for these times. So in celebration, I play my flute for each one of you to send to you the powerful medicine of the Andes, that you connect with this powerful sacred medicine. Infinite blessings to all our masters of Shamans Directory.
Actually, it's very much resonate with me, because I have similar idea when I have maybe 15 years ago. I planned to make something similar like that platform, but I think I didn't do it because it was too much work for one person. And I also was always busy with healing work and workshops and travels. But I really was looking how to combine different shamans, different healers together, because I saw that it's nice to work together, nice to combine our wisdom and our knowledge and bring it to the people. Because we talk before that as a new time of the wolf, to be free, but it's also time to unite, yeah, because in the fox time it was a time to separate it. People was more separated, they was isolated sometimes, and the knowledge was not available. Yeah, to learn something you need to find a teacher for years, and hopefully it will be a good teacher. And these days all the wisdom get open, and we have to come together. And it's really much resonate with me, because only together we can grow, and we can change something. And I'm really, when you invite me to this project, I immediately feel yes, because it's very much resonate with me.
Wow, this is a big question. For me, to be part as a member in the Shamans Directory is listening and following a call that I have started to go when I went on my path into the medicine, the healing work, the shamanic practitioner work, and when I reconnected to the lineage, to my own spiritual guides, to my ancestors, to what I felt is my support on a different level. and feeling that behind me is all this community of shamans that are coming together like a web, gives me a very beautiful strength and support, because I don't feel that I'm alone on a path, but we are all together. And this sitting around this fire is more than an imaginary fire. It's real. It's an energy that I feel, and being part of the directory is a way for me to say yes to this fire that I'm sitting with so many other shamans around the world.
To me, being a Maasai and living in Maasai land, of course, the Shaman Directory, it's, as I understood, it's all that what we need to preserve and to also give to ourselves, and leading the right way of healing ourselves and healing nature. And as we all living today, we are the responsible to actually bring all this knowledge together. As per Masai says, let's come together and share. This is to heal the world that needs a lot of people like shamans to come together and heal it, because it's actually needed, and that is the way forward. And I will say the shamans are having a knowledge that it's not written yet. And this will give an opportunity for the rest of the world to understand and to go in the right way that we think as the Maasai and the shaman think as the shamans, it is the way forward.
When I saw the directory, I thought like, oh, I want to be part of this. You know, a lot of times directories are for, you know, the good of one person or their organization, but I really believe that this was for the good of the community and to bring people together around a central fire, which is something that I think we need more and more of, not less and less of. I think the biggest value is to know that you're not alone. That really, besides for the plant spirits and the tree medicine, and that we really do need the heart of each other in order to really navigate these chaotic winds that are blowing out there, and to remember that we are connected. If you think about the planet that we live in, it's a kind of a closed system. And so if there was this big bang 4.5 billion years ago, then there was a wind movement that sparked it all into like a bubble of shared space. And so we've all been around this cosmic fire since the get-go. And what's feeding it is the wind that moves through us and through the energy of the cosmos. Well, I'm bringing the wind to the fire. You know, that old Girl Scout song, Rise Up, Oh Flame, because the wind brings it in and it rises up that flame. So may our lights shine brighter. Thank you.
Being in community, doing intentional work is it is the practice of belonging fills my heart. And also, you know, there are times where I need to not hold the container and feel more held. And one of the things that I really appreciate about the Shamans Directory is the way that I actually was invited into it was to be in a space where other Indigenous healers were holding just a talking circle. And it was amazing for me to be with other practitioners around the world in a way that I could recognize, you know, that was not from my Indigenous community, but it was recognizable to me. And I felt so held. And so anytime I get to participate by either showing up to community or offering the container for community, I do feel like we're all fulfilling our purpose then. There is this other concept in Lakota called Kapemni, which is the sacred hoop, which is more like, Kapemni is more like the sacred teepee structure inverted up to the heavens, right? So that as we're in this hoop, the teepee is in a hoop, right? That as we are in community, so are the stars, right? The stars above are also in community, and we move together, we dance together. So as above, below is another way of saying that. And containers such as the Shamans Directory, I believe that what is so valuable about that and what resonates with me about it is that it is creating another hoop here in the matar, or the material of our earthly selves, which with the intention of dancing with the ancestors and the spirits above, and in that place where they meet, which is the poetry of our beingness, our human selves and our spiritual selves. And the more that we can create these hoops or these sacred containers, it is a beacon of belonging for all beings, right? It's not like here we're just in our exclusive language of healingship. It's really saying, no, like everybody belongs here. All beings belong here. We are all related. And yeah, so I feel like my paradigm of belonging and creating these sacred hoops is what drew me to the Shamans Directory, because I see that that's what's happening there.
Well, I think it is extremely important that all voices are heard and that we sort of get to learn from each other. And as you say, sit around the fire, because I do not believe that, like, you know, any one person or any one teacher, however wise and experienced, can hold any kind of, like, you know, ultimate truth or take on the situation. I think is that all we have is a lot of different perspectives. And even if sometimes they hold opposing ideas, I still think that these are like, there are like wisdom teachings worth exploring. So what I love about Shamans Directory is that if we can all gather around that cosmic fire, or, you know, that fire at the heart of the cosmos, or the fire that represents, you know, divinity and connection to other worlds and the spirits, that, you know, all these perspectives can be seen and shared and support each other, and that we can learn from each other. And that's why I was so thrilled to be invited to be part of this, because I think it's really important to have a platform where all of these different traditions and viewpoints can exist, and where we mutually support each other. So it's not like a, you know, a race or a competition. It's done in the spirit of cooperation.
We've been asked to help to establish platforms or places where that original voice can come forward and be heard. The wisdom, the ancestral wisdom, can be shared in a way that allows us to wake up to who we are and remember ourselves and come back to the honoring of all life as sacred. And it's in that, with that kind of intention and resonance of spirit, that I think I got called to sit down here in your beautiful circle. And I've been watching and observing as you've been growing and starting to open yourself, that you are listening deeply. And I'm sure there are times when challenges come because those protocols are different, or someone has an idea of how it should be, that you will have to hold that cosmic fire with, and allow the process to show you why that has come for your attention and into your attention. And that's what I see you guys doing, you know. That's what I see you allowing, with the different elders that are coming, the different ways of ceremonial speak that's being offered. these are some of the things that I see that y'all are willing to hold and not try to fix. That's the first thing Western people want to do, is fix something, but more about just to hold that process out of respect, and then deeply listen and create a space for others to be able to give voice and be held and listened to. And that will begin to reveal how we move then in a unified front forward. Yeah, so I'm appreciating very much your work and your humility that I see in motion with it. I pray that you maintain that humility.
Just want to take a moment to allow that question to come in to my heart. And I think what comes from that heart space is honoring just this beautiful truth of calling forth the healers, calling forth those who honor this beautiful biosphere with whom we are intricately and intimately connected, and providing a avenue, a platform, a path through the forest, so to speak, for healers of earth-based ways, shamanic ways, to have a voice, to have an opportunity to reach out to the world. There is a lot of healing that is happening, and also a lot of healing that needs to happen. And so I see Shamans Directory providing a beautiful way for that healing to find a home, as it were, find a hearth, find a fire to circle around, to bring forward the gifts and skills of so many people, practitioners, medicine peoples, and people seeking the assistance of those with the training, with the skills, with the gifts that they carry, the lineages, whatever it may be, from cultures all over the world. So, yeah, just a lot of gratitude.
First thing I want to comment on you, I think Shamans Directory is a 4-level doing. Okay, we spend our life connecting people, traveling, taking the news here and there, putting together different traditions, different knowledge and things. It's all connecting and connecting. And this is exactly what the directory is doing, to offer a platform for people to share in a completely open way, from different backgrounds, different ways, different styles, to just be honored as part of the whole. We always say something during our teachings. God's so clever. He never gave the whole truth to anybody, to one single group. Why? Because he wants us to share. And if you really want to get closer to the truth, you really need to learn from others. No one has the whole truth. We all have just little pieces of the truth. If we put it together in something like the directory, we share a pool of knowledge and experiences and teachings and trainings, we may get closer to what's really the goal, to get to know the truth.
I would like to put it in a real framework of what's going on today. In the world, the word shaman is using, but I think it's used to suggest a Gnostic approach to the reality. This is the point of view. What's the meaning of that? There are usually two ways of being spiritual. One is the logic, the traditional Western, in which you have a set of theology, dogmas, things in which you need to believe to save yourself. Okay? The other approach is the Gnostic, The Gnostic experience is the opening to the mystic development. Remember the standpoint of Houston Smith? The mystic is the top. Then under the word shamans were, in the whole world, a Gnostic revival. This is not my opinion. Is the Pope when John Paul II, who in one book say the New Age is a Gnostic revival. He said that. For the Catholic Church, it was a little bit difficult to deal with the New Age, but this is their business, okay? The Gnostic approach is part of the shamanism, of course, but is part of another spiritual tradition. And when the New Age happened, was a Gnostic revival, as Terence McKenna say, is an archaic revival. All the ancient traditions experiencing revival. What you are doing is generating a room for all these people to interchange their own. Every other tribe, every other civilization, every other religion has their way of healing. But if we start to putting together, we are going to discover common factors, or we are going to honor the diversity, but at the end, as a whole, we are going to produce synergy. And in synergy, the whole is more than the sum of the parts. Just being in a shaman's directory, you are triggering the possibility of the wholeness. And of course, this is going to empower the whole movement, which is moving in the direction of the mystic experience. This is my point of view.
I have to tell you that it all started because a friend recommended you guys, and I spoke to you, and I remember arguing with you about the name. And you had such a great answer, right? Because there's all this conversation about shamanic practitioner using that word, and your answer was so good that you convinced me that this came from a real vision from your heart and soul, and that this was the way it needed to be called to gather the people that needed to come. So you helped me jump over my resistance that I had. And then I started to see who was collecting, who you were collecting. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a great batch of folks. And I'd be honored to be in this collective of people serving in this way. This needs to be done. And this is some genius women that are putting their hearts and souls into making this happen. And then I got to meet Mayumi, across the planet, and the globalness of it and all of that. And the way you were so welcoming and so open to hearing, what I had to say and responding really beautifully and convincingly and excellently. And so it just felt really good. And then I just wanted to call all my friends and say, come on.
I am so grateful to everyone that has contributed their heart's fire to creating the Shamans Directory. Shamans Directory is embodying some of the deepest principles of our heart's fire, which is it's about communion rather than competition. It's about cooperation. It's about honoring all of the different types of expressions of our of our gifts of healing, of all of the different expressions of our humanness, of our spirit, of our hearts, of our love, of our compassion. And that's a rarity in this world, not to just be in your own little universe, but to celebrate the wild variety of expressions of our humanness. And I think that's all embodied in the Shamans Directory.
So, when you reached out with this beautiful project, I was touched because I personally, in my practice, in my life, in my heart, I am looking for connection. I'm looking to nurture connection. I'm looking to nurture kindness so that we can be more kind towards ourselves, each other, the planet, and to really come from that energy. And that's what I really liked in your vision, is there's so much wisdom in the world. I'm a simple guy from Belgium, finding my own way of these ancient practices. In my case, with influence, of course, from the Celtic tradition, which is my heritage. But there is so much need for these direct teachings that are, these earth-based teachings. They're often very simple. It's like, let's take care of the land, let's take care of the water, all these things. And what else do we need? This is the foundation when we can really come back to that reverence for all of life. And there's so many beautiful wisdom keepers around the world that we can learn from. In my own life, I met my first teachers 28 years ago when I was struggling with suicidal depression and addiction, and it changed my life. Like, it's probably the reason why I'm still here, because I saw their deep respect for the planet, and it touched me. It just touched my heart. And I think that many people who are interested in shamanism, it's probably for a similar reason. There's something in that practice, regardless of which tradition, there's something in there that touches your heart. And what a beautiful idea to create circles, to create this fireplace where we can meet and we can learn. And I've been privileged with many, many beautiful teachers on my path, and I love listening to them and learning, because I know that I don't know that much. And they help me to remember that life is about this kindness. Life is about this connection. Life is about, seeing the beauty, the profound beauty of all these simple things that we otherwise don't see when we're just living in our heads and our to-do lists. And so I'm deeply grateful for your vision and having, the courage and the energy to bring that forward, because it's so needed in these times, that we can learn from each other in a way that is beautiful and that is helping us to remember this reverence for life.
Learned about Shamans Directory some time ago, and I kind of thought about it for a while, but it's connected to the time that was before, and it is about what we've lost. These original teachings that we had are the solution. People are saying, what is wrong with this world? This is a mess. And, oh, it's all, are you sure? That people call me all the time and they'll say, are you sure there's really hope for the future? Are you sure there's really going to be a good future? I look to my messages and guidance to say yes, but I can see, very much if I look at the news or if I look at what's happening in the world and the wars, and I see people having a disconnect from the earth itself, from their spiritual connections, from their spiritual path and their spiritual gifts. This is why people are depressed. This is why people are having anxiety, because they're not in touch with their spiritual gifts, they're not in touch with their spiritual connections or their ancestors or their lineages, and they're feeling this emptiness, or they're turning to addictions, or all of the various things that we're seeing. Do we want to continue on in that way? How can we, each and every one of us, be the seed that's needed to be, doing our spiritual work, doing our spiritual path to help bring this higher consciousness that's needed now? And I think that's part of it, the big great shift, the great turning, as other people have called it. But I see, people moving through, and it's not always easy to do it on your own. So I think it is important to either have community or support in some way. These are things I think, again, like in modern society, people often I've known people to say, oh, nobody really needs therapy, they could just deal with it on their own. What a harsh and horrible that's why people have problems, because if that's how it is, I would just deal with it yourself, or don't deal with it. Well, I think that's why we have a lot of anger. So, like, how can we bring compassion? And the original teachings talk about those things. They talk about compassion and love and caring the well-being of the people in our hearts, and having courage and fortitude, having generosity for others. Really, it's a spirit of giving. Like, people talk about the aloha spirit, and why do they love it? It's because it's based on love and caring and community, and it feels really good in the heart again. Like, I think what feels good in the heart and following our intuitive guidance, these are things that are new to some people, but we want to have the earth, for thousands and millions of years to come, for our future generations. This is why we're in it together. So I think this is a very powerful, potent, beautiful time. The more we can see that, doing our own work, I think that's part of it. Like, people feel helpless and they say, oh, I don't know what to do. But I think just saying yes to your own calling, saying yes to your spiritual gifts, these are beautiful ways that we can move forward.
I feel emotional too as I say this. It's like, come on, guys. It isn't like wake up. It's like, keep waking up. Don't go back to sleep. You like that Rumi poem, the door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep. I wish I could recite the whole poem, but look up Rumi and you'll see it. There's that interjection in it, that the door is round and open, between the two worlds. So don't go back to sleep. Well, what I'm saying is, well, you probably will, but you've got some tools that will help you jump back into the process itself, the awakening process. Tools, I might add, such as the Shamans Directory and the work that you guys are doing with that. I think it's absolutely wonderful. And making accessible some of these shamanic practices to others who are called, to out of curiosity or out of prompting, being prompted by spirit, to check into that, find out about shamanic work and shamanic practice. It may or may not be for you, but check it out. It's not the only way. I don't know, no pretense about that. It's not the only way, but it's a pretty darn good way.